Alrighty, let's talk about the revised person-centered financial management plan. You should be using this at the first indication that you are going to be helping a client manage their finances in any way. So if you are not sure, think about if you are ever going to be helping them control their money, if they need help managing it, anything like that. This is a really good way to also be on the same page with guardians to make a plan to see if we do need to be helping them manage their money. So really effective, would not be a bad idea to do it for all of your clients, just to know that everybody is on the same page. The revised version is much more extensive than the version that probably you're used to. So let's just get right into it. So right here up at the top, all pretty standard. So you'll start with the client's name and the date. And then you're going to select the date that this plan is going to be effective. Okay, so that's if you are just barely getting this done, the client, it's not going to take effect for a week for whatever reason, you'll put whatever day this plan is going to be effective. And then is there going to be any PBA being provided for this client? Just yes or no. Then first thing is you're going to go through the client's budget. So you're going to look at the amount of Social Security they receive, whether that's just supplemental or disability. You'll put that up here on line 1. And then you will put the personal spending money that they would like. The DSPD minimum is $165. So just keep that in mind when you're making these budgets. The amount to be applied for food and groceries, again, DSPD minimum is $203. So you'll want to make sure that you hit that threshold. And then you're just going to use those numbers that you've come up with to come up with an amount remaining. So you will do line 1 minus lines 2 and 3, and that will give you your remaining balance, which will be monies that can be applied to rent, bills, groceries, other expenses that your client may have. Then we're going to move on to our statement of need. This is all about the client. So what kind of capabilities do they want? What are their goals? What is their capacity to manage their own finances? What kind of help do they need? What kind of support do they need? Do they want their own debit card, but maybe they can't control that, so they need to have carefully monitored spending? So that is all you should be making, a very detailed description of the client's capacity to manage their own finances, what kind of goals they have, what needs they have, should all be right here so that as you go through this document, you know what goals you're working towards. So the first one you're going to start with is their Social Security information. If they are receiving any Social Security monies, you are first going to decide who is going to be their representative payee. Is this person able to serve as their own payee? Do they have a guardian that will be serving as their payee? If there is not a guardian, is there a family member who will be serving? Is the provider going to be taking that on? Or is there another agency or organization that is going to serve as their payee? If RHE is going to be the payee, then this is the one that you would select. And then whoever has been selected, you are going to put their name, whether it's the client, a guardian, a family member, the provider, or the other agency. You are going to put their name on this line so that everybody knows who that rep payee should be. Now, if RHE is the rep payee, then the client is going to be issued a Pex card. So that Pex card, those stipulations, so the following pages are only if RHE is going to be the rep payee. This is for their Pex card. So before you go through and set all of their restrictions, it is recommended that a budget is made. That's why we have you start with the budget so that you know how much money you're working with. You know what kind of limits you can set. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to select a PIN code for the client card and a PIN code for the staff card, which is also going to be called the FBO card. The amount to be loaded on to the person's Pex card. So if they get $10 weekly, you would put $10 on this line, and then you would do weekly, okay? So this is up to the team and the person's capabilities. If you have a client that spends their money as soon as they get it and you want to do $10 a week so that that's all they can spend, that's great. If you have a client who's very capable with their finances and you want them to have all $50 of their spending money or whatever that amount is, and they just get that monthly, you can do that as well. So you'll decide what their weekly or monthly allowance will be and whether you want that funded weekly or monthly. And then you're going to do the same thing for the FBO card, how much you want that FBO card to have and when that will be funded. Okay, on the next page, you are going to go through all of the Pex Card restrictions. So this is limits to the client's Pex Card. This is anything from online transactions, convenience store, gas pumps, restaurants, daily spending limits, monthly spending limits, whatever spending limits you want to set on this card. So the first one is whether or not you want to restrict international use. So the way this is worded, restricted international use, yes or no. Do you want this transaction restricted? Okay, same for online shopping. If you want any days of the week to be restricted, yes or no. If yes, then you will also select the days that you want that card restricted. Is there a daily spend limit? If yes or no. If yes, the amount. Do you want any out-of-state spending? Okay, is out-of-state spending restricted? So once you've selected yes or no for those, then you will go into the actual restricted categories and whether or not you would like these individual categories restricted. So you'll just go through each of the categories here, whether or not you want it restricted for the client card. If you do want it restricted, if you would like a daily amount limit, okay. If not, that's fine, just leave it blank. And then same if you would like these types of transactions restricted on the FBO card. You'll just go down the list for all of those. And that will be your Social Security. On the next page, you are going to have any other income that the client receives. Do they have a job? Do they have a trust fund? Do they have whatever source of money they're getting? You need to know about it. So you're going to go through other income sources. So is this person employed or do they receive income from any other place that is not Social Security? Yes or no? If yes, you need to put where it's from and what they receive monthly from that source. Okay, and then this is very similar to the Social Security. This is just for alternate funds. So as a result of this statement here, do they have any other funds? Okay, as a result of the statement from page 1, the team has selected to have the following individual or organization manage the person's funds outside Social Security. RHE does not manage any client funds outside of Social Security. So if RHE is the client's rep payee and they have alternate income, other arrangements need to be made for the client employment paychecks. So you will decide if the client will be able to manage their own paychecks, if they have a guardian who will manage their paychecks, a family member who's not the guardian, or if the provider will be managing their paychecks. And then again, you will give the name of the person who's going to be managing those funds. Then we're going to get into how those additional income funds are going to be managed. Does the person get unrestricted bank access? They get their own bank account, debit card, access to all of that. Nobody else needs to be on the account. Is there going to be restricted access? They have a bank account, but somebody else is on that account. They do not have maybe access to their debit card unless somebody's with them. So restricted account plus additional signers. So who is that additional signer going to be? And what types of restrictions are you going to place on the account? The client can only have their debit card when mom is there shopping with him. The client can only withdraw $20 a month. Whatever those restrictions are going to be, you need to write them down on these lines. The other option is that they are going to get no bank access, but they will be receiving petty cash. So somebody else is going to go create a beneficiary account for them. The client's not going to have access to this account. There's going to be a third party that has access to that account, has the card, and they maintain possession. and the client will receive petty cash from the third party that is managing the account. So if this is the option you select, you need to dictate who's going to be managing that account, who is going to be holding or managing the card to the account, and how much petty cash is going to be withdrawn for the client per week. Note that if this is the option you select, meticulous records need to be kept of how much petty cash is given and when. So if mom is the third party that's managing his bank account and Monday at 3 o'clock she gave him $20 of petty cash, she needs to have record of that. You need to have an Excel sheet or a notebook or somewhere that you are noting every single time petty cash is given, who it's given by, and what the amount was. Then you're also going to set a maximum allowed in the client's petty cash account. So if the client gets $20 a week, but you are only allowing the client to have $40 at any given time, then that needs to be something that's checked in when you are distributing petty cash each week. Did you spend your $20 from last week? Yes or no? Okay, well, no, you're at your $40, so you don't get any more this week. If none of these options work for the client and for the team, then there is a box for other accommodations. Those do need to be described in as much detail as would be if you had selected any of these other options. Okay, other financial information. Does the person have access to another bank account from a previous care provider, from before they came into your care, mom and dad set them up an account when they were a kid, whatever it is? Do they have access to another account? Yes or no? If yes, what is the name of that account and the account number? And what is the maximum account balance that the team feels comfortable with in this account at any time? To this account, does the person have a debit card? Do you want the person to continue having access to this debit card? If no, who is going to take possession and maintain possession of that card? Is this client going to be given an ABLE account? Yes or no? If yes, who will be managing this account? And then you're going to go through a review at the end. So does this plan align with the statement of need in regards to the person from page 1? Yes or no? This needs to be a yes, so you need to review all the information that you've gone through, make sure that it aligns with the statement from the beginning. Quarterly reviews are required by DSPD of client financials. So RHE will complete the quarterly review for Social Security funds if we are the rent payee. You need to designate a person to be completing the quarterly review for any other income, and who that's going to be, you will check a box and write their name. Monthly reviews are required for any person receiving PBA, so you need to dictate somebody that's going to be managing those. So again, you will check a box and name the person. A monthly review of the person's financial standing, which is all of their funds, all of their assets, needs to be completed by an outside party who does not have authorization to make purchases on the person's behalf. So this might be a business admin. This might be an accounting person within your company. Okay, this needs to be completed by somebody who does not have authorization to make purchases. So this is not going to be RHE since we do have that authorization. So you need to come up with somebody who's going to be completing those outside monthly reviews. And you need to give their name and what their relationship is to this person. Then here at the end we just have, are there any additional recommendations or comments about this plan? And then it's going to be signed by the client, the guardian, the provider, the support coordinator, an RHE representative. If there's anybody else that is present on the team that needs to be signing, you'll have them sign as well. The last page here is just the agreement from DSPD. Okay, this is the legal form for DSPD. You'll just fill this one out with their name, their address, their guardian's name and address. And then you'll have that signed by all people as well. It is extensive, but it is going to help maintain funds so much clearer.